Where the hell are you? Are you home or are you still out of town?
I'm on the moon. Uh,
I see it. I think I see my house from there.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm home. So
Oh.
you're in Miami.
Yeah, I'm in Miami, but I'm flying back to LA next week. I'll be in LA during the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
We want to shoot some video stuff, and I got to do some stuff for a virtual camp.
Well, good. Yeah, they're visiting family.
Yeah, I've been here I was staying with my parents, and then I also stayed with my girlfriend for a couple. Uh, so I've been here for like almost 5 months.
Oh, wow. That's a
Hmm.
nice little break out there. I'd love to be out in Miami for 5 months and go
Yeah, man, and
through
it's
this
great.
time.
Yeah, no, and it's been great being with the family. I've missed birthdays, so being here, I've been able to celebrate birthdays and family get-togethers. So it's been
Right.
great.
Dude, you look jacked. Been working
Yeah, I've
out?
been working out since day one. I've been nonstop eating and working out. I always try, but usually what I do off season. Off season, I'll try to like gain as much weight possible because during the season, my eating my eating is like off schedule, and I can hardly go to the gym. There's a lot of weight during the season.
Man, I'm with
Um,
you. I do the same thing. In fact, people always ask me, so what do you do to keep in shape and all that stuff? And it's crazy because for a while there, I was doing, as mascots, we don't really have a system in our lives much, at least most of us. But man, I in the off season, I got to where I'd lift one season, one summer, and then the next summer I'd run a marathon. So just trying to keep it different. And so training for a marathon all summer was great to get right back into the season, have my cardio where it needed to be and everything. And then the next time I'd work on bulking back up, and because you do, man,
yeah,
you shrink during the season.
yeah, I know and it's hard, especially uh, off season. Is so important to work on our cardio because it sucks when you start off the season and you already feel tired. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It usually takes me about 10 games to get back in the real groove. I had about 10. I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm myself again, but,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
hey, let me do a quick introduction here. So this is
All right.
Gus, say your last name, Guerrera.
Guerra.
Okay. Yeah, I murdered it. So anyways, Gus here. Welcome to Between the Fur. It's great to have you on here, man. We've been working on having you on here for a while. And so it's good that it's working out today. So Gus was the mascot for the Miami Heat for a few years, for many years actually. And that's how I got to know you in the first place. And then you left them, and I won't say where you went to, but you ended up back in the league. So I'm happy for that, man. It was a sad day when you left the Heat, and I was hoping you'd be back in soon. And sure enough, there you are, and you're crushing it, man. So yeah.
Man, thank you so much.
Hey, by the way, I have a little. I didn't know. I don't know if you knew this, but you did an email when you were saying goodbye when you left the Heat, and there was something that you said in there. I ended up printing out and putting it up on my desk. I was like, that really kind of sums up what we do, and I thought it was something for us to really remember.
Yeah, man. I don't remember exactly what I said, but that was a long email. I didn't know what the future become. One of the things about being in the league is that you never know when your day's over. You
Yep,
know,
yep.
every day feels like it's a new day. Every day is a new experience. New people you meet, new things that you conquer, new growth, and when all of a sudden it's all over, you just don't know what's gonna happen. But yeah,
Well,
man, the Heat
Chris,
was great. The Heat was great, and I'll tell you, I was there for 16 seasons. I started there when I was 17 years old, and I was there till about 30. So
wow, I didn't know
I
you were
pretty
that
much,
young.
yeah, I started off doing the trampoline dunking. Well, actually, no, I actually started in the WNBA doing a co-ed choreography team It was called the Miami Soul Patrol, and it was for the WNBA Soul team that the Heat used to own. I did a season there, and then I saw the trampoline dunk team, and I just thought something I could do, and I tried out lucky the team, and I did that for about 6 years, and I was also the backup as BURNIE, and then from one day to another, the job was offered to me, and it was something that it changed my life completely. Now I'm in a place where I'm able to dunk, I'm able to do skids, I'm able to do a lot of stuff that I wasn't able to do with the Heat. Um,
Nice. All
so
kind of fell into place.
it all fell into place because with the Heat, one thing with the Heat did is that they don't really put their mascot as kind of like the front or like the main attraction. It's kind of like everything else, and then the mascot is last thing. And they having a timeout during a game, it's just too hard because they have so many things going on. And it was always a battle for me to try to get some timeout time. But now where I am now, it's like they want me to shine. They want me to be the best mascot.
It's a night and day
So
difference, isn't it? I mean, you get a whole
yeah,
different feeling. You get a whole different feeling going out and performing and things like that. You feel like you have somebody in your corner, and it's
yeah,
you
man,
know
yeah. And
uh,
it's crazy because I've always used you as a motivation to what I've always wanted to become. Kind of like that's the perfect picture that I've always painted. Is kind of be kind of like what you do, an all around mascot. And I felt like where I was, it was kind of holding me back.
I appreciate you saying that. I always tell people I'm a jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
I just try everything, and sometimes stuff sticks. But I can also relate with what you said about going into being from Miami. You could walk right in there and relate with them and things like that. Man, you have such a great dancing background that I was always amazed at that at how you could take that big character and spin and dance and make it move, make it come to life in the way that you did. It was pretty mesmerizing, actually. So, in fact, when my son went to Detroit, he, obviously he's not from Detroit, doesn't know anything about Detroit, and for the working with the Pistons and stuff, he doesn't have, or he at first didn't have any kind of connection there, but he's starting to fit in there, starting to grab the culture and grab the atmosphere a little bit better, and getting into his groove now. But man, you didn't have to take the time to do that. So
No, yeah, and just being raised in Miami since I was like 9 years old, it was just such an easy fit. And I'm telling you that because I've never experienced leaving Miami. It was actually this is where I am now. I mean, where I'm working now. It was a new transformation, and I've noticed that with the character that I'm doing now, I need to be more from the city. It's such an important role. Like when your own fans could connect to or say, damn, that guy is from here. That guy, the way that he dances, the things that he eats, the way that he dresses, like he's from the city. I think that is such an important uh, role that you need to take on when you're not from that place.
yeah,
You
you
need
have
to
to
do your
really, yeah. No, go ahead.
no, yeah, like you need to do your research, you need to ask
Exactly.
questions, you need to watch movies from there, you need to become that person from that city so then people could really relate to you.
Yeah.
I think that's very important.
I got to tell you something funny. I was telling somebody this the other day. So I've been doing this so long that when I first moved here, I actually moved here in the summer before I got this job in December. So I was here most of the summer on an internship, and I had a job where I had to run around and into different parts of the city and everything, but I really didn't get a feel of where everything was. And so literally getting this job, moving here and all, I remember I had bought a book. It was the Atlas map road, whatever it was, book. It wasn't just a map. It was of the city. It was a book. So I'd open it up while I'm driving. You talk about unsafe, people texting or whatever. Here I was with a book, driving, trying to find where I was supposed to go for this appearance. Looking at a book, turning the page, following a map. I didn't have any GPS. I didn't have anything like that. So, man, there was a lot of times I was on the wrong side of town because I got the book upside down and backwards and everything for these appearances. But man, that's old school, huh?
Yeah, as long as I've been a Mascot, there's always been GPS. I can't imagine going to do appearances with a map.
I actually had to go and get approval for one of those GPSs that stick on your dash there,
I remember those.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh.
Those things were handy, but nah. I remember. I can't imagine going to do appearances trying to figure it out on a map. That has to be insane.
Yeah, and that was back, driving my own car, and that was back in the day when I was hauling my costume into the building, into an appearance in a hockey bag, and trying to duck everybody that shouldn't know who I am, and finding the one person, and them telling me, yeah, you can go down, dress down there, down the hallway in the bathroom. And I remember I'd look at them and go, okay, so do you have any other place than a bathroom? I just don't dress in bathrooms. And I tried so hard not to sound like this prima donna, but there was no way I was dressing in bathrooms. I had a standard.
And the worst, and I've done that too, and I did that for most of my career. But the worst thing about that, it's when you're done messing with everybody and making fun of everything, then walking right out. It's like a walk of shame. You just look, you don't want nobody, you know what I mean? Like the person that you were screwing with the most, you don't want to make eye contact with that person.
That's right. I remember, it's so funny. I remember that, kind of holding my bag up like this, just kind of up against my face there, so I could just walk on out. And then you hear the whispers. I think that's him. That's him. That's the guy right there.
Yeah, man.
And I hated that.
It's the worst.
Yeah. Now, luckily, we have vans and trucks.
And some of us have RVs, but we won't get into that. But it's such a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me, in all your time, tell me some crazy stories. One I want to go back to is, and I don't know if you want to talk about this, I don't know if it's sensitive because I think it's hilarious, but you did a flip where you landed. Okay, I do this deal where I flip. I put everybody out there, but I put them on their hands and knees. It's usually dancers and everything, and I'll run and do a front flip over them. Okay, you took it to the next level, and you were like, okay, I'm lining up everybody that I can get on the floor. So it was how many mascots was it? It was all.
No, it was 14.
Mascots.
So
14
So
mascots.
it all started by watching you flip over the dancers, and at first, I started off with 4, and then when I started doing schools, I'll start off with 4, and then I'll land 2 more, and then I'll flip over 6, and then I'll land 2 more, and then do 8, and then I land 2 more, and then I do 10, and then I'll land 2 more, and then I'll do 12. I got to the point that I could do like 14 people, like human beings, and by 14 I meant like 7 on one side, 7 on the other, laying down, feet touching each other, and I could actually get up to like 20, so 10 on one side, 10 on the other. It got to the point that I could get to that much.
Wow.
And it came to the idea of trying to flip over all the mascots. and it was 14 mascots. And when we rehearsed this, they were lined up. The first mascot was lined up at the half court line, so I had way more running space
Right.
to run and catch speed. However, when we went on the court and we did it, the first mascot lined up kind of by the 3-point line, all the way on the other side of the half court line. So
Ah,
I had way less running room.
what?
So I was not supposed to land on a mascot. When we rehearsed it, I flipped over everybody and it was perfect. You know what I mean?
Right, right, right. Of course.
And
Well, okay. So, and everybody's thinner because they don't have a costume on.
that's another thing too. We rehearsed it without them in costume.
So,
The funny story, I cannot do a flip over people without a costume on. If you
really?
ask, yeah, if you ask me, I've never done gymnastics. I can't even do a back tuck. Like, I, I mean, I could probably do it, but it's not something that I'm used to doing it. Like, I can't
Right.
just do it all of a sudden. And I got that trick in Bernie, and I have not been able to do that out of costume. I feel like when I'm in costume, I feel like I have like the right padding and all of that.
Isn't that funny? Now, I'm telling you, that is a mental game. And I know exactly what you're talking about. I used to not be able to uh, flip over nothing. I had to have something there. So, and that's kind of how all this started. Like, really, that flipping over people started for me in third grade, showing off with my girlfriend,
Mm.
Jennifer. Now, just a little side note, I ended up, my wife's name is Jennifer, different people. But, anyways, I would show off for Jennifer in third grade. But I learned that I could, if I just put people out there, I could flip higher and further. I had to actually, but I didn't really put the two together. So I got to wear out of costume years and years ago as I was getting older and getting into high school and things like that. Man, I'd line up a ton of friends and we'd just keep adding, and I'd have contests with my friends and things like that. And sometimes we'd do a hill, like we'd get a slant at a park or whatever. And we'd line up like 15, 18 people on a slant so you could run, jump way out, and just flip. And the trick was really to land that one after
Yeah,
flying
and it's
so
kind
far.
of like, and it's funny because it's kind of like a dunk. It's the same, like when you're getting ready to do a big dunk, it's kind of the same mentality. Like you have an obstacle ahead of you and you're ready to do it. But you want to hear something funny? Going to the new costume that I'm at right now, it's very important that you make sure you know what you're doing. Like I tried my first season, I tried doing a front flip at the game. My head came off for the first time ever.
No, no way.
So
Do you
my
not have
new
a chin
costume,
strap, or do you?
no, so my new costume, the helmet, it's actually Velcro to the head, the inside of the head.
Okay, yep.
And the performer before me used to always flip in it and nothing happened, but he didn't really do a front tuck.
It's different. It's a
So
different force on it. Yeah.
yeah, it's a different force. And my first season, like, first season ever, and, and my head preseason, actually, this happened preseason. There was
Oh,
a lot less people in the crowd. But yeah, I experienced that. Have you ever, your head has never come off, right?
not totally. In college, it did somewhat, but I caught it just in time,
Mm.
threw it back on.
Worst experience of my life. I
Isn't
remember
it?
that night. I couldn't sleep. I was Googling everything, watching Instagram, make sure nobody got any pictures or videos. I lost sleep. It was the worst night.
It's awful. It's an awful feeling. And when mine
Mhm.
happened, come on, it's in college in front of 2,000 people at this game, at a junior college, even. And I was up all night the same way, just sick about it, looking for pictures and I knew it was going to be in the paper. Back then, there was no social media, so I was looking at the paper the next day. But
I was.
it's all right.
I know it happened to a few of us, but I I never imagined what happened to me, so I did. But I got it fixed, and I'm able to flip again. So that's great.
Nice. Okay, so anything with players?
I have a bunch of things with players. So especially when we had Shaq. Shaq used to be there's something else. But there was one time. This was when I don't know if you remember a few years back, the idea came up about doing billboards or sitting on a billboard or
Yeah.
promoting like I'm not coming down till we sell out the arena or I'm not coming down to opening night. These ideas about having your own billboard or being on a billboard was kind of like throwing out there. So I remember I proposed that idea to my boss at the Heat, and they were like, "All right, we'll see if we could come up with something." And when we were gonna sign the big three, LeBron, Bosh, and Wade, they were like, "You know what? We want you to camp out in front of the arena on top of the entrance, and we don't want you to come down till we sign Dwayne Wade." So I started off with first Dwayne Wade. So I'll, the deal was I'll be in costume from 9 in the morning to 5 o'clock at night. 40
Jeez.
minutes, yeah, 40 minutes in costume every hour, and then I'll have a tent where I could go in and take a 20-minute break.
Oh, that's a long day.
I know. So at first, I was like, "This is great. This is great. I'm gonna be in costume. I'm gonna get my this. Oh, and we're gonna do a live streaming, and it was gonna be broadcasted, and it was gonna be as the players came in every day, they will see me, and it was gonna be a big thing. And then at night, we were gonna turn the lamp on inside the tent so it could seem like I was sleeping in there.
Right.
All of a sudden, we signed Dwayne Wade, and then we signed Dwayne Wade and Bosh, and then the news started people started talking about maybe we were going to sign LeBron. So after we signed Dwayne Wade, I was like, okay, can I come down? They're like, no, you know what? Stay up. Stay up.
Let's keep this rolling.
Yeah, let's keep this rolling. We were getting a lot of news broadcasted and all that stuff. Once the LeBron thing came on, it was maybe like another week. And then now we had all the TV cameras set up in front of the arena, kind of broadcasting from there about all the top news about LeBron James, if it was coming or not. And I remember now that I was there from 9 in the morning to like 7 o'clock at night.
Jeez.
But I was having fun with it. I hired a couple of masseuses to come and give me a massage in costume. I hired a chef to come and cook kind of like Dwayne Wade's favorite dishes. I remember having a drum set up there, and people will get off their cars and come see me, and I'll be throwing down T-shirts.
Dang.
Um,
That's actually a lot of good stuff, a lot of good content.
yeah, so I was keeping myself entertained, and all of a sudden you know the buzz kept growing and growing and growing. Then we had the big party inside the arena introducing the big three. I don't remember if you seen that when they're all wearing the Heat uniforms in the white and they're
Yeah.
coming out for the first time. I
Yeah.
was still outside. I was still outside in the entrance when that happened. So
No way.
after that event, I remember texting my boss and saying, are we done? And he's like, no, we need you up there tomorrow morning. I was like, but the big three already signed. Everybody, they're like, no, just stay up there tomorrow morning. I and then the next morning we kind of had like all the news there and me coming down. Uh, it was actually I remember crying in costume.
Oh,
I remember crying in costume. Inside the costume, I was crying because I was happy about the big three, and I was just happy to come the freaking down from that. I spent 2 weeks. I lived 2 weeks in front of the arena.
two
Practically
weeks.
unattached.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. It was supposed to be 1 week. It became 2 weeks, and I'm talking about including weekends, Saturday and Sunday.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yep.
brutal. I've
It
tried
was.
that. I actually did that, but only for a few days. And man, those few days just got old so
Mhm.
fast. Oh
I remember
man.
going home, getting some sleep, and just saying, I have to do this again tomorrow. But hey, man, when it's your young days in costume, I feel like you try to gain as much experience as possible. So, like I always tell people, like your first 3 years, you need to do everything in costume.
Exactly. And that is so true. Man, when I started, it was so many free appearances, so many, just trying to get my feet wet and get experience and get, out in the community and get known and get, just, it was just hustle, 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 hustle. And,
Hmm.
if you're going to make a name for yourself, if you're going to do it right, if you're going to, if you're going to earn your money, I think that's what you got to do. You just have to just suck it up and do everything. You do everything.
You have
So
to, you have to, and that's
it's
and
the name
that's
of the
it.
game with anything, really.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to be the
yeah.
master of something, if you want to command your space, man, you got to do. You just have to
Hmm.
do. So, get out of that. Hey, I'm gonna take evenings off, or I'm gonna take weekends off, or whatever. And there was a long
No,
time.
and not only that, but the more that you do, the better things you pick out of what you're best at.
Right,
Um, as
right.
long as you try. Everything might not be the best where you're at, but by you trying it, you might just find something new. Like now that this is actually my 13th season as a mascot, I'm able to go back to my the beginning of my career and figure out things that I did back then that work now.
Yep. There's a lot of
But
this stuff that I recycle that I'll bring out from way back. But like crotch drops, man, that never ever gets old. Never gets old. Speaking of crotch drop, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but man, I used to do crotch drops on and I still do, but on thin rails. And one time I was over in France, I think, at this new arena. It was either France or in Australia. But so I get up on this rail. I'm like, oh my gosh, this rail is like, 5 inches, in diameter there. And so like, this is a big, thick rail. This would be great. And I can do a great crotch drop on this. But with a crotch drop, when I do them, I'll sit back just a little bit and twist just a little bit so I catch the railing on like more of a cheek than anything. Yeah, not this time, man. It was a big, wide rail. I drop down, I go to spin. There's no turning. It just like spread my legs basically because it was so wide. And I just dropped down, bam, racked myself so hard. I was really not acting, stumbling out of there. I was like, seriously, I was about to throw up in costume. It was so
hmm
bad. But yeah, those are the kind of things that never get old. You go back and you're like, oh man, you know what? I used to do that. I'm bringing that back out. That's
No,
good
yeah,
stuff.
it's the best.
What's the
I
scariest stunt you've ever done?
You know what? The scariest stunt I've ever done, it's actually right now with, that giant ladder.
Oh
That thing
yeah,
is scary.
I
Just
love
climbing,
that thing, man.
bruh. Hey, that thing is so high up. Like, it's so, it took me, bro, listen to me. I've gone skydiving, I've gone bungee jumping, I've gone hang gliding. Like, I'm not scared of heights, but just getting up there and just being so high up, it like I have to breathe. Like I'm so happy that I have to wear the costume because my face is like I'm so paranoid, bruh. It's so paranoid. Like getting that ladder and then cranking it and getting it way higher up and then climbing up and then it shakes too.
Oh yeah, it sways. It sways when you
That's
throw.
how high you get up. That's how high you get up that it sways. Mine doesn't sway yet. I'm not even that high yet.
As I throw, that thing
Mm-hmm.
will just woof. Yeah.
Hell, man. That's crazy, man. Um, I was able to. I'm trying to do the backflip dunk, and I'm able to flip out of it. So I think I'll have that hopefully by next season. But the just getting all the way to the top and shooting a basket is just that thing is scary, man. Scary.
So I had I'm just gonna say his name. I won't mention what mascot he is. But I had Spencer call me like last year,
Mm-hmm.
whenever he was looking to get a ladder, and he asked me about where do I get it and all that stuff. And so I told him, and I guess apparently he called me. He's like, I got it. I'm so excited or whatever. And he's like, okay, so now how high do you raise it up? I'm like, all the way. I mean, what do you mean? He's like, seriously? You put it all the way up? And I'm like, well, yeah, man. I mean, just put it up there, So he's he he calls me afterwards, or like the next day, after he tried getting up there and stuff. He goes, literally, he says, I put it all the way up, I climbed all the way to the top. He goes, but he goes, I how do you like stay up there? I'm like, you throw your leg over it, and he goes, seriously, that's how you. Oh, okay. He goes, so, dude, I literally had to get down. I went home for the day. He says, I was feeling nauseous. I had to go home for the day. I'm like, come on, man. So,
Dude,
anyways, he.
and you don't understand. Like, it took me a few days. Like, I went up, got, and I went home, came back, got up a little bit higher, came back down, went home. It took like days for me to get all the way to the top. Now I'm getting to the top and I'm getting but I'm not, I have to take it step by step. Like, my thing is maybe 60% up high rather than 100 where you're at. Like I still have a lot of things hanging down. Um,
Oh,
and
it
yeah,
is
man,
scary. It is
that is
scary.
so scary. Do you remember when John did the handstand
Yep.
from one ladder to the other ladder? Like
Yeah.
how the
I don't
hell?
know. I don't know. I don't know. In fact,
Yeah.
I've tried his handstand on top of the ladder thing.
Mhm.
That is tough. That is tough, and it is scary too.
Yeah, because you're so high up. Now, let me ask you a question. Did it ever be at first when you started doing it, was it scary for you because nobody else did it and like or was it like nothing for you from day one?
Okay, so when I first raised it all the way up, because that's what I did. I just got it. I raised it all the way up. I got to tell you, going from the angle to straight up, I was like, oh, okay, this is weird. And I really kind of hugged it. Like, it just felt weird all of a sudden to be climbing a ladder straight because I've never
Mhm.
done that, you know? So to be climbing a ladder straight up, I did get up to the top and threw my leg over and I was like, this is freaking high. This is high. Yeah. I it did tickle my tummy a little bit, especially when, you know, they were trying to throw me a basketball up that high
Mhm.
and I was reaching
Mhm.
over and stuff. I did get the willies, man. They started throwing me this ball and I'm like, crap, like this thing moves. And then when I got the ball and I tried throwing it, I was just like, I was doing one of these, just because there was so much movement. So yeah, I was a little weirded out, a little freaked out, but then, I don't know. I got used to it pretty quick, but it was so
Good.
much easier and so much better in costume though. I'm always less afraid getting in costume and doing it.
Isn't that crazy? Like, it's crazy. Like, once you've been doing this long enough, it's kind of, you tell your body to just be fearless once you put that costume on. Like, it doesn't matter what's in front of you, you have to conquer it. And I always tell people, like, before you, what do you do? Like, what before you go out in the timeout to do a stunt, what do you do? And what I always do is I try to just relax and just vision me doing the stunt or the skit as perfect possible. Uh, a lot of mascots, they have a tendency to like use the time before to like remind people what to do, especially their assistants, like, hey, do this, grab that, or get this prop, or make sure that this is going on. I try to just block all that off and just like concentrate on the task in hand. Um,
I'll tell you one of the scariest things for me. Yeah. And this one was hard for me to wrap my head around at first. And then even in costume scared the crap out of me. And that is uh, snowboarding down the steps. Like, I've sledded down the steps, that whole thing. But man, when I was thinking, hey, you know what? Let's snowboard down the steps. That was scary. That was really scary. That did not end well for me or one of the fans in the crowd. So, yeah, but that is scary. Getting all padded up and everything. Woo! That's just that's
I
just going.
remember.
I could. Yeah, this is one of those. This could really go wrong fast.
Yeah, no, yeah, and but you know, sometimes you want things to go wrong too. Like, uh, for instance, like going back to that front flip. Like, I'm glad I didn't land that front flip because landing on the other mascot's crotch made it like so much better. And I remember, that whole thing going viral, uh, and there's been a lot of times in my career, that things luckily go wrong, but the way that you react after it happens just makes the whole skit like just so much better. Um,
I totally agree. I totally agree. There's so many times when something has gone really, really south, and there's a couple times when it's been, somewhat bad press or whatever. But man, I'll tell you what, the notoriety that comes out of it, it's, for the most part, has worked out for me. And heck, I've broken my back in front of a crowd, and that's, gosh, all the pub about that. I still have people to this day. Hey man, how's your back? Didn't you break your back? Hey, yeah, like, yeah. Wow, can't believe you remember that, but I mean that was like 95. So, but yeah, some of that stuff just lives on and on.
well, I can tell you that from when I started doing this, I've always looked up to you because your energy level has never faded away. And it's so hard getting older and keeping your energy high. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
once you pass your 30s or your 35s,
Oh, your
or
40s, or maybe
in
even your
my
50s.
case, I'm getting to my 40s now, but I know how old you are. It's so hard. Like, once you get injured, or like your recuperation time is so much longer. Like, after the games, I remember when I was younger, I could do a game, wake up the next morning and do a show without a problem.
Yeah.
But now it's like waking up after a game is like so much harder. Like, getting out of bed, like so many other things hurt.
You know what though? It, it's crazy at this time. I'm telling you, I miss the crowds, and I miss, Robert called me the other day, and he's like, "You're gonna miss it, man. When you're done, you're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss it." And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I know I will, and everything. And I just can't wrap my head around not doing games, in the future at some point. And it's just like, now I don't even know when or if or what games will be like if we get back to it. And it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of sobering. I think it's sad, and it's a little depressing for me even at this point, even though, you know, I'm still working and still, you know, doing stuff.
Yeah, no,
Kind of
I
heavy.
agree with you. I think one of the hardest things right now it's just finding that motivation that you got from fans. Like, you know, I miss games. Like being in a playoff and not being at a game, it's I can't believe it. You know, that ride, you know,
Yeah.
you're not gonna be able to have it. But if you do those virtual fans, those virtual games, I've learned to entertain the room that I'm in. And that's kind of made me feel like I'm working again.
Well, it's at least something.
I remember I sent out my costume. I needed a couple of things to do, and I didn't have it for about 2 to 3 weeks, and I missed it. You know, the thing is that we're triggered after doing this for so long. You're triggered to think, kind of like wake up in the morning, and you kind of have like your rituals and things how you get your work done. And when you're missing a tool or you're missing something, you know, it affects you. I've never had to film so many videos, man. I filmed so many. I think I film about like 2 to 3 videos per week, and that's been crazy. But,
you know, I actually got to do, I don't know if you did, but I actually got to do a workout with Planet Fitness.
No, I didn't do one.
They were asking some guys, and so they asked me, and so speaking of all the other videos that we've done, they've asked twice actually for me to do a home workout where, gosh, they send me a bunch of equipment and I do this workout with my assistant and, you know, in my basement. And so people are on there. I mean, all the comments coming in, flying in and everything. It's funny because they even put my, my assistant with an earpiece. And so they're talking to him. Planet Fitness is talking to him while I'm doing the workout and just sweating my guts out in there. And he's giving shout outs to, hey, Mary in Atlanta, what's up? Thanks for watching. Okay, we're on to this next thing. Come on, go, go, go. You know, so he's talking the whole time. I'm working out. And, you know, he's giving shout outs. And, oh, man. So that was kind of fun, actually. So.
No, I haven't done one of those. I heard your son is pretty good on video editing as well, right?
Man, he does most of my stuff now. Man, I'll tell you, he does an awesome job. He's the one that puts all this podcast together. He does a lot of my video shoots and does a lot of my editing and everything.
So, that's awesome,
yeah, it's a great experience for him, and man, it's been great for me. So, and the character. So,
yeah, man. Shout out to them too. I know your kids for a long time, and they've been in the scene now for a while. They've become experts now.
Yeah.
Doing.
Man, they love it. They love it. And I'm glad they love it. And, you know, and in different ways too. So yeah, I mean, my youngest, man, he's the one that does all this. His name's Cade, and Cade Solomon. And he's a master at this stuff, but he's the greatest support. You know, he's the guy that likes to be behind the scenes. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming on here. This has been great to talk with you, and love the fact
man,
that,
I actually listen to your podcast religiously. Anybody listening to this, man, you gotta keep learning. You gotta inform yourself. It just makes you such a smarter person in your meetings. Like I don't know how to say this, but there's so many things I've heard in your podcast where I've posted in our brainstorm meetings, or things that I've applied to my job now, that's made me such a better professional. You need to find inspiration, and I feel like your podcast does that. There's so many legendary people, and there's so much history, and I thank you so much for doing this. So thank you, Ken.
I appreciate you saying that, man. Yeah, you're welcome. This has been it's benefited me most out of everybody, I think. So I really enjoy doing this stuff. All right, man. Have a great day. Right, thanks for being on my podcast, Between the Fur.
drop, you can't ignore it. I'm transforming now these cars and planes.